Welcome back to the Unlearning Curve. I'm Stuart Delony with Jordan, JD Forehand, Karl Forehand. The name thing threw me off, JD. And we are talking about, today we're going to be talking about, what is our cult focus? Our cult of the month. And we're going to be talking in general about the prosperity gospel. But before I get to that, just to remind you guys that the Unlearning Curve, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, podcast. Just look for the Unlearning Curve. And if you want to reach out to us, it's theunlearningcurvepodcast@gmail.com. Is that, we're good, Karl?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And so since we'd already in our previous session talked about Paula White, we're going to be digging a little bit more into the prosperity gospel. What is it? And why it's a cult? Who wants to hop in first? Any thoughts, ideas off the top of your head?
My first thought is that as a Southern Baptist, it was the one group that was more out there than us. Our views are really far right. I don't know what my screen's doing, but really far right. But one step further that goes, and so we'd always think in our heads, that's too far. They went too far beyond. And so we condemned the prosperity gospel all the time.
It's an interesting point you bring up, Karl, because being Southern Baptist, I grew up one as well. Everybody else was going too far in a different direction if it wasn't us. Was that your experience?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had the sexual problems in the Catholic Church was always a focus for us. At least we're not them. But then we found out we were later.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, it's just they want believers to accept the idea that faith brings prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
Faith brings health. I have friends from my hometown. The husband and father of children died naming it and claiming it and not going to the doctor when he needed to.
Unpack that, Karl. What does name it and claim it mean? I know what it means, but for those that don't know.
I think it builds on something that's true, which a lot of good lies do, right? So it builds on this understanding that we can do affirmations and things like that. We can have a positive focus. We can, however you envision that, connect with the universe, be with people, all those kind of things. The right thoughts can bring us positive results to an extent, right? But then when you mix this charismatic Christianity in with it, it becomes what we saw in Paula White, a show, right? And the real people that get wealthy are the ones that are telling you to give. And you don't get wealthy. And when you don't, the problem I see is that when you don't, that's devastating to you. What did I do wrong? Why do I not have a jet? And I'm doing all the work as well.
Karl, you text me all the time that exact line. Stuart, why don't I have a jet? And I'm just like, Karl, I just said, I just manifested a jet for myself and just named it, claimed it. And that's just how it works, Karl. You're not in the flow. You're not in flow.
You didn't give enough, and
giving up,
maybe your faith wasn't strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. So have fun riding with the demons on that steel tube.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A reference to...
That just sounds like some sort of weird sexual euphemism, JD. I don't know.
Yeah, it was what's his name? I can't remember.
Riding the steel tube with the demons. It's Kenneth Copeland.
Yeah,
it's Kenneth Copeland, who's also a part of this.
One of the words.
I spoke about YouTube videos that you should watch. Kenneth Copeland compilations are also fucking phenomenal on YouTube, by the way. Like, just him screaming about the most inane shit. It's so funny. Like, it's like sad. Of course, it's like sad, but it's funny. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, if you can't, I don't know. I feel bad for like old people or people in like who are in really like sensitive situations. But like for like the average person in his congregation, like if you can't see that guy's absolutely full of it, like I don't really know what I can say to you. I feel bad for them. Like it's really hard for me because like I have the duality of like I want to laugh at them, but I also like. It's like, wow, you must be really messed up. Like there must be something that really bad happened to you. So like, I don't know what to feel, but I think in terms of like the prosperity gospel, we should really take heed and remember Luke 6:20, which says, "Blessed are you who are rich, for yours is the kingdom of God." I think
that's one of my
really
favorite
important.
verses.
Yeah.
I have it tattooed on me somewhere. I won't tell you where.
I mean, mine's right there. It's in, the original Hebrew. That's exactly the same verse. How did you know?
I
Did you
named
just
it and I
manifest
claimed
that?
it.
Did you? You did. I was like, before I was like, what? There's nothing here. And then, oh, this is, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So anyone who's listening right now, seriously, if you want the same kind of blessing, if you do, we accept payments at theunlearningcurvepodcast at gmail.com. And that is the way. The more you give, the more you get. I'm not really sure what you'll get, but it'll be blessings. And if you don't get the blessings, it's your fault.
You can touch.
This is the episode where we show everyone our Cash App.
Yeah.
We better
For
not.
everyone, put your hand on the screen. Put your hand on the screen with me right now. Touch this, and you will be able to feel the healing power.
Yeah. We're not going to do the sepulcher, though. I don't think we would get away with.
There's no touching of shafts right now. We won't get back into that.
I'm gonna be so curious to see what the subtitles for whatever you were just doing, JD, were. Sorry, you're speaking in the tongue of angels or hawking up a loogie.
All right, I interrupted Dad, but there's one more thing I have to say about this. Is a side note, but this is something I've wanted to say. I don't know, for a long time. I probably said it to people before, but it's so frustrating to me that speaking in tongues in the Bible was meant you spoke in your normal language and everyone understood it. And it's the exact fucking opposite thing. Now it's just no, you just speak gibberish and no one knows what the fuck you're talking about. But God does. That's convenient, but no one else does. So is it useful? For me, speaking, living in another country, speaking my native tongue fluently and having everyone understand it would be super convenient. But me going that doesn't help anybody except for God, apparently. Yeah. But I only believe in
it helps the show.
Wait, right.
That's true.
No, the answer. No, you were saying no. The answer was 37. Is that what you were asking me?
I think it's 42.
Is it 40? Oh, what you're asking me? I was trying to figure out what. Oh, my math is wrong. My angel math is bad.
42 is the answer to everything.
Okay,
that's right. That's right.
The Checker's Guide.
No, but I mean, I guess this is. I mean, but at some level, I feel like this gets into. This is where Christianity veers into almost sci-fi or fantasy territory. To this, we're the X-Men. I can speak things into existence with my faith.
Yeah,
that's the lamest X-Man, but that would be really cool though.
So it takes a really, really high level of narcissism to do that. To say I could even get on stage and brag about I have a better airplane than another pastor, that I'm that good, that my people could even go into poverty and miss their rent payment to give me some more money so I can buy jets and have huge houses that are way beyond necessary. If there is a God, I would think that he wants us to have nice things like I do my son and my daughters. What I want more is for them to have character and things like that. But, I just can't understand that thinking of I deserve so much more. It's like CEOs of corporations and I'm that much more valuable. And the truth is, no, you're not. You have flaws like everybody else. You probably put in less hours per week than most people, but you certainly don't need to make 100 times. And these pastors just have that level of narcissism where it must have been something my congregation did wrong if they went into debt or if they failed financially supporting me because I'm right and God's on my side.
Karl, I'm hearing from the Lord. I'm hearing the limitations in your faith. God is bringing out right now all of what you just said, that you're limiting your beliefs, Karl.
Mm-hmm.
Why stop with 2 jets? Go for 3. Why stop with 1 megachurch, 1 mansion? Keep going. God is abundant and just delivers to everyone. Yeah. Do you think but where's the dissonance between the folks in the church? Because there's people that show up to these places. I don't care if it's Creflo Dollar. I don't care who it is, but they show up there week after week after week, and they're throwing money. And even now, these folks are bragging about it on stage. I mean, it's just the idea, and I guess we baked this into Christianity, that somehow it's our fault if we're not getting what we want.
Right.
Is that the twist?
Yeah. So you add God's name as a filler word if something goes right. You might even give your pastor credit because he's a man of God, right? Or the woman of God in some cases. If it goes wrong, it's me. And so I live in shame. I keep coming back. I may even work harder at the church. I may go to conferences and retreats trying to find out what God is trying to say to me and why I'm not succeeding, never realizing it could be all the money I'm throwing away to this guy uh, that has a jet and has a huge house and probably really doesn't care about me at all.
Almost certainly doesn't. I was gonna say it's so frustrating to me because it seems like such like it was you were talking about earlier, like this concept of like people thinking that they're working harder than other people. And I've explained it to like some of my students like this, is like, they'll be like, well, but like, don't the rich people deserve like the money that they're working for? And I'm like, well, how much do you think they work? I'm like, do you think that Jeff Bezos works more than a single mother of three that works 2 jobs to meet ends meet? Because I guarantee you he doesn't. Like, it does. That's not accurate. Like, I ask you to try and see if you could work that out. They don't. That's the thing. They don't. They just delegate it to everyone else. Look at what's happening right now with the Doge bros. Like, they're not doing it. Like, they literally laid off like nuclear staff and stuff like that are essential to making sure that we have like a secure nuclear program in the United States. And then they go, shit, we fired the wrong people. Now we have to call them back. Shit, number 2, we don't have their contact information anymore. Like, that's not people that deserve that much money. That's, you were born into it, you got lucky, whatever it is. But that's not what it is. Like, and again, it goes back to even further what I was thinking originally, like with these pastors, when they're like, maybe you should just donate your last $100. Maybe that's what you need. You seed, I love that word, seed your last $100 to the church. And maybe that will bloom into a beautiful tree. How about you? Because listen, that's 100% of my money. How about you seed your whole 5 million, billion, whatever the fuck dollars you have? How about you seed all of that to the church and you go live in a fucking shack? Well, you won't, because that's not what it's about, because it's about you making money. Like, I think that really should be the end point of it. It's like, okay, you first. Let's see it. Like, lead by example. Let's see your fruit. Seed your fruit, motherfucker.
Again, there's a little bit of truth underneath there. There's a little bit of truth underneath there that says,
this much.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. I'm ranting.
So,
sorry.
The little bit of truth underneath there is,
yeah.
I put my money up. I started a business. I took a chance. I risked my money. And if it's a good one, if it serves people, it helps people and gives them what they want, then I should be rewarded for that so that I can do more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point you got to say, what's too much? And am I treating my workers fairly? Am I paying them? Or in the case of these preachers, am I just traumatizing people and burdening them with big, huge backpacks of shame, worthlessness? How do I please God? I'm desperate. I'm addicted to this, and on and on.
But and again, I think there's this aspect of ego. I think they like being worshipped on stage. I mean, I think there's a lot of pastors that are, yeah, it is, that they'd be like, oh, we're pointing to Jesus, but we're really pointing to Mises, here. Yeah.
And so if they'd admit that, then I could come once a quarter and be entertained by them.
Mm-hmm.
Pay my $15 or whatever a concert's worth now, probably $50. But I'd pay that money and I go home happy.
Paula White's about $5.
But it's more than that. I want more than that. I want you to come every week, at least once a week, at least twice a week. The best people come 3 times a week. And I want you to pay me. I want you to give me your volunteer labor. Not only that,
I want you to give me your Social Security check for those old like grandmas and grandpas that are sitting at home listening to the fucking toll-free hotline. Like, that's evil. So that shit. I hope
yeah. At some point they've got to say in the back, they're saying, if they're not saying it out loud, I deserve this, because I've worked harder than anyone else. I've served you. I care about you guys,
It's just kind of just a pyramid scheme is kind of how it ends up being in many ways. I mean, it's just the person at the top benefits and the piss trickles down to everyone else below it in the way this thing works. And I don't know. I guess it's just peddling false hope for people in a time when people want hope. But I don't, have you ever been, I guess it still just comes back to us, because I was trying to think of how like you'd feel like you can fool people so many times before they start catching on. to like healing and things like that. The spontaneous healings that are happening and all of this. I guess that's the genius of the grift. It just comes back to, the easy answer. It's just, well, you didn't have enough faith. And that's just, I guess that is just the emergency exit for anything that the pastor has. And just, that one's on you.
I preached at a charismatic church one time, a prosperity gospel place in South Dakota. JD was there. I don't know how old he was, so he might not remember. I got finished preaching and kind of gave my appeal and then sat down. And before I know it, people were lining up in front of the church for me to come zap them. And I finally just told the guy, no, I said, you guys go ahead and do this. This is your church or whatever, because I wasn't going to be, a hypocrite. But watching it up close, it was totally fake, or the guy pushing you hard enough where you just fell and you knew you'd be caught.
Well, there's plenty of stories too of people like Benny Hinn, like getting people up out of their wheelchairs and then literally there's lawsuits. Like you can go look this up. Like there are lawsuits against Benny Hinn where it's like, oh yeah, I tore my meniscus because he was like, you're healed. And I got up and then just absolutely destroyed both of my knees because I have a genuine disability. Like it's the worst form of taking advantage of people who like are already in a vulnerable place. I don't know. It's just like, where's Jesus with the whip when you need him?
Yeah. And again, it's got a little bit of truth to it, right? I say sometimes, just to kind of spark discussion, the universe is rigged in our favor. I believe it kind of is, but not in the way a religious zealot would pick it up and use it, but that our bodies heal themselves, right? There's some truth to that, to a certain extent. The cells in my body want to reproduce and thrive and fight off disease and all those kind of things. So there's some truth in there, but then you take it to that extreme, and Benny Hinn's son even came out and said it was all false.
Hashtag brave.
And we've talked about this before. Yeah, we've talked about this before too with it, but there's a whole psychology to that, to those sessions when they're in it. We've talked about YouTube where there's like Benny Hinn and he's got his jacket and he just kind of like swoops it over the crowd and they all just fall over. And yeah, but that's me. Sorry, JD, you have the power. Did you learn how to speak in tongues at the charismatic church that Karl was preaching at? Is that where you got it?
Hold on, my dogs are being ridiculous. Knock it off. Sorry.
Speaking of tongues,
dogs. Yeah, those are tongues for people because none of you guys know what we're saying. All right, hold on. I gotta let my dogs in. I'll explain it in 1 second.
High and all exalted.
Karl, was it hard? Was it hard for you to preach in that space too?
Yeah, I think you could almost feel their encouragement for me to get more animated, which I'm not, right? I'm not very animated most of the time. I was a little more when I preached, right? JD can verify all this. It's a little more animated when I preached, but it was almost like they were just kind of encouraging me to do more of that. It's hard for me to go there and be inauthentic and so on.
Yeah, Stuart, to answer your question, no, that because we like our church, I think probably speaking to Dad's like just his point just there is like we never like really did fruits of the spirit and all that stuff. But I remember the first time I went was in a church in St. Joe. I won't say names, but I remember going there and being told like, yeah, it's just like I didn't say anything. It's just like a worship session, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's like a youth group. And this is another thing. This is another cult thing. This brings it back into the cult thing. My friend at the time told me, there's this girl that really likes you there. You should come hang out with her. I had met her before. She's a very beautiful girl, very nice. I don't know what anyway. But like, so I was like, okay, I'll come check it out. So, I went trying to check out and I didn't plan ahead. What I should have done is what you always do if you get invited to some sort of church session is you have someone, okay, listen, ex-friend, call me 30 minutes in. If it's a trap, I'll pretend like you're telling me I got to leave. If not, if the girl's actually into me, then I'll stay. But anyway, I didn't do that. I was naive. I was a child. So anyway, I went there and they were doing like worship and stuff, and it was fine. It was like kind of light for me. I was like kind of a hardcore kid and stuff, but I was like, okay, whatever, this is fine. You know, you got the sounds and the grooves and whatever. And then altar call hits, and it's like, okay, everyone group up. I'm like, I don't know any of these people. This makes me uncomfortable. I knew like one guy, so I went over. I knew two guys, but one of them was playing in the band. So I went over with one of the guys I knew, and they huddle up, and people are praying. I'm used to that. You know, you bow your head, and you're praying, and you're kind of like stumbling along your words and making it sound real profound, and like adding the words that we all say, like, Holy Father, we just thank you so much for what you've given us. It means so much. Just thank you so much. You just do these kind of things where you do repetition, but then he just kind of falls back a little bit, and he just goes, hey, and I was just like, what in the fuck is going on? And I was like, I have to get out of here. I don't know what's happening. It was that was just like, okay, I'm done with this. Like, I can't do this anymore. And maybe it was because I wasn't raised in it or whatever, but that was like, I felt really gross about that.
That was the demons in the metal tube telling you to get out. They didn't like it. They didn't want to come out. Like,
because
get out
that's
of here.
My thing is like, I would listen to like Christian metal, and people would be like, that's demonic. Like, that sounds demonic. And I'm like, that does too. When you're just like, I'm just like, that sounds like you're possessed, honestly. Like, I think the metal is fine. I know what the lyrics say to the metal. I don't know what the fuck you're saying. And you don't either. That's the other thing. So I have one up on you. Not a big fan. Not a big fan of speaking in tongues.
So
I heard, JD, I heard you explain it one way, like speaking in your own tongue and other people understanding you, that, or is it another understanding of it is speaking in a foreign language, in a language I don't know.
Right.
And someone out in the crowd knows that language basically and hears it in their own tongue.
Yeah.
Or it could be either way. And I know all the passages and how to wrangle them around.
You probably know it better than me, but the point is that you're not just speaking nonsense, is my point. You're speaking something out, and it's not like you're not ad-libbing it, and someone understands it at least.
Yeah, it's the idea from the New Testament. If someone's going to speak in tongues, you need to have an interpreter. I think there's one or two verses that get widely misinterpreted in Pentecostal and charismatic services, because I've been parts of them. I've been in services where you'll hear someone like, "Baba," and all that other stuff, and then someone else will shout out what God's saying. But I've always wondered this, when people are prophesying and saying... But like, why does God always speak like he's talking like from the King James version as well too? Like, if you hear any of these pastors, you know, like, "Thus saith the Lord, I, the Lord your God, am angry," and I'm like, okay, can't you just say I'm God? Like, I'm the what? Like, it's just like God somehow, his language has not progressed over the past like 2,000 years, but I don't.
That's also one of the worst. Like, most linguists will tell you that's one of the worst translated versions of the Bible anyway. It's terrible translation, first of all, but people have this thing. It's the same thing with the British accent in America, which I despise. And I'm doing this tongue in cheek, but I always give my British friends a lot of shit. It's like, people think you're intelligent because you have a British accent. You just come up to them and go, I think actually it's just like, I don't really know, but look, I kind of was thinking about it. I think God might think like this way. It's like, that's fine, but you're not saying shit. You just have you're exotic, right? It's the same thing. Like, it's like the same thing as reading Shakespeare. Like, Shakespeare, you can read, and it's great. I love Shakespeare, but it's not like, can be profound, but in a lot of ways it's just stories about teens like loving each other too much and being stupid and killing themselves. Like, again, it's good literature, but it doesn't mean that you're like better than anyone else or that you're a better translation. And I think it would be cool if people started doing like tongues or speaking from God, let's say that, like prophetic language, where you're just like, the other day I was just praying really hard. I got a message from God, and he was like, "Visit the people in the hospital, you must. Thou shalt." It's like, I still go into the King James version because that's what we think about. Angry I am with the Trump. Like, something. Just do something unique. Like, it's just all the same. Like, it's been the same for so long. It's so boring.
Mm-hmm.
Freshen it up. Do a different accent.
You guys
start speaking in like Ukrainian or something.
I have a word from the Lord. Zap! You know, one of those. You're like, oh gosh, God, your references are so old. What are you even doing here, Lord?
You're out of touch.
Yeah.
Now I want to go to a prosperity church and someone speaks in tongues. I want to say, I just got an interpretation from the Lord. He said, your mother's a whore. Thus saith the Lord.
Carl's gotten spicy today. I love it.
Here you go. We got him fired up. This is what I like to hear. I mean, the thing is, you could even just start translating the Bible. Oh, Mark 10:25. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God. Give away all your money. Guy, whatever. I don't know. The first person that comes to my mind is Mark Driscoll. I don't think he's the richest guy. Creflo Dollar, whoever it is. I don't know. Like, for me, it's just like, it's so easy to do that, but I think so many people are just so bought in. And I don't know. It's just like, it's hard for me to, again, it goes back to the way I feel about it, where it's just like, I want to make fun of these people, but at the same time, it's just also like really sad. And I'm just like, I also kind of want to just like feel sad for you, buddy. Like I don't know. It's frustrating for me because I just don't know. What do you do with that? Is it more useful? I think in some cases it is more useful to make fun of them. In some cases I do think it is more useful to like try to find those people who are vulnerable that are like, just like, I'm looking for anything, and just be like, you don't need to give anything. You can just be with me and talk to me and we can deal with those issues. You don't need to seek out some person that's going to require you to pay them. Like, it's okay. This is going to offend maybe some section of our audience. Hopefully not too much, but I used to give my friends a lot of shit, my friends who are in fraternities in university, about this. Cause they would be like, it's just like, I like, just, I'm like, you have to pay money. And they're like, yeah. And they're just like, but I make like a bunch of friends. And I'm like, so you're paying money to make friends? Like, I don't have to pay any money to make friends. Like, that's what I want to tell these people. Listen, you don't have to pay money to make friends, it's not even to make friends. It's to create these like parasocial relationships with some asshole that just wants to take all your money. Like, I'll be your friend.
No volunteer labor required, JD? Is that implied?
We can, if some grandma is just like wants to talk shit and get on Skype, I'll get on Skype with her for free. I'll take your wisdom. You give me your wisdom. I don't know. I could teach you about history, I guess. You maybe know more. You're older, but I could teach you about psychology.
How to use a smartphone.
Yeah, I can teach you how to use a smartphone. I can teach you how to debug your computer, defrag your shit, like that. Whatever you need from me, I'll do it for free.
My experience over those...
You are the worst prosperity gospel pastor I've ever seen.
I can't do it. I can't shill for money. I feel so bad.
My experience over the years, 20 years being a pastor, the people I saw from those type of ministries that I got to talk to, first of all, were mostly middle-aged to older women, usually. There's a lot of that, but they were all very poor, fixed incomes, but yet they're still giving away most of their money. They're thin, they don't look happy, they don't look like they take care of themselves. It's just that, just like Mark Driscoll's ministry, you find those people that are hurting, right? And then they become quickly dependent on you because you reached out to them. And then you can do, then if you're a narcissist like he is and like she is and so on, then they're just going to keep taking advantage of them until they don't have anything to give them.
Drug dealer.
Yeah.
I mean, you're giving them the taste of what they want, and then they just keep coming back, and you'll keep, as long as they're giving money, they're fine. But once they can't or won't do stuff for you, it's like, bye-bye.
And
yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't even think they notice it because they never interact with those people. It's just, I promise this imaginary force above me will just give you what you want.
I think most of the people at a Theo Bros theology conference are also just that. They're people who want to be on that stage, have a little bit of that level of narcissism to say, somebody surely wants to hear what I have to say. Right? You should pay me more than them. I should be up there. And they're wanting to be up there. Kind of that same mindset sometimes in high controlling churches, right? If we could be there, we'd have the power, we'd have the money, we'd have a yacht, we'd have a plane like they do. And so you're constantly just giving them your eternal service, hoping, it'll be like Trump world right now. We're just handing out prizes for those that were loyal. That's what they hope for, right?
So, yeah. It gives us something to aspire to do, Carl. So I'm excited for that.
But I think it's like Stuart was saying earlier. It's kind of like this idea of like a lottery. It's that I don't really have to investigate anything. I don't have to do any of the theological work or the psychological work or whatever kind of work. I just give my money. And again, it's very, I think for some people, it's just like, I'm so desperate, like I'm literally dying or whatever. And so I'm just going to give my money and see what happens. But I think for a lot of people, it's maybe a mix of things, but I'm just going to give my money and I'm just going to keep living my life and hopefully I get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Magic
And
beans.
it's really sad.
Because I guess ultimately, how can you get lucky when you're living in purity culture?
Well, you can always ask for forgiveness, right? You can at least
That's
get
true.
lucky with yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess in this culture too, and this is meaning that we've probably gone off the rails on this conversation, but I think if you end up breaking your purity with your pastor, I think that's cool. Like, isn't that how we've seen too? Especially, with pastors sleeping with their
I was going to
congregations
say
too.
also a lot of youth pastors.
Oh,
Speaking
it's
of,
true.
Grooming.
yeah,
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
Sure.
they usually wait until they're 18 to marry him, unless it's in like Alabama where the age of consent is like 14.
It was so noble.
It's bad. It's bad. And, again, this is the fun thing where they say, we want to hunt down,
Yeah.
where we go we hunt down the pedophiles. And then it's like, well, but most of our
Wait, isn't that
pastors
you?
also.
Well, I mean, it's an
marry
easier
12-year-olds.
pedophile hunt if you're just hunting the people that have already gathered.
You're just like, all
we're
right, let me look at my Facebook friends list. I
Yeah.
can find them all right now.
I didn't want to travel today to hunt pedophiles. I just came to hang out with you guys, my friends.
Keep an eye on them.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you minister to them and you get them to give you a little bit of money and everyone feels better and then it's fine.
Where else should they be? Don't you care about them?
Keep your enemies closer.